So our topic today is the difference between standard and CoDyt projects. I am sure you've already wondered what is a CoDyt project or standard and when to use them. So we are going to answer these questions together. So first, let me give you a brief definition of what is a CoDyt project. So CoDyt stands for Continuous and Dynamic Translation, and it corresponds to our project automation system. So the idea in a CoDyt is to pre-configure a workflow, okay, and then you just have to upload files to translate, and the workflow starts automatically. So if you've pre-configured, for example, a translation job followed by a revision job, well then, whenever you will upload a new document to translate in the project, the translation job will start, okay, and whenever the translator will mark his job as completed, then the revision job will be kicked off automatically. Okay, so this is just a brief definition of what is a CoDyt project, whereas a standard project is more manual. Okay, the idea is to create it step by step. But we have added some automation in standard. So let's start with standard. So I'm going to open a standard project. So I'm connected here as project manager. Okay, and here I select a standard project. So you can see different tabs. Okay, and each tab corresponds to a step. So there are 6 steps to complete a standard project. So first you need to enter the project details, so the name of the project, and assign the project to client, select a price list, etc. And you can select source language and one or more target languages. So it is a specificity of standard. So there is only one source language, and as I said, one or multiple target languages, meaning that the project is not multi-directional. Okay, so you cannot first translate a document from English into French, for instance, and once the translation is done for French, you cannot say, okay, now I want to translate the French version into Italian. Okay, that's not possible. If you want to do it, you will have to create a new project with French as a source language. Okay, whereas in CoDyt, we will see that there is no notion of source and target languages. You just select all the languages of your project, and then you upload the files to translate in the folder of the source language. And CoDyt projects are multi-directional. I will show it to you in a couple of minutes. Okay. So now that you've entered the project details, okay, in a standard project, the second step consists in uploading the document or documents to translate. Okay, so my source language is English, so I upload the files in the English folder. So third step, you need to upload the resources of the project. So if you want the documents to be pre-translated from one or more translation memory, you should select them here. Okay, in the third step. So here I can filter just my translation memories. Okay, and I can select one or more. Right. So the fourth step is the word count. So during this step, Wordbee is going to pre-translate the documents from the resource we've just added to the project, and it's also going to count the words of the document. Okay, so you can click on count words. Okay, you can select your word count profile, and here you can say, okay, do the word count for all the 3 target languages of my project, so that you just run the word count once. Okay, you can see the result of the word count. So this is for the Spanish word count. I can see the French word count and the Italian word count. Okay, so there are no pre-translations. All right. 5th step consists in creating the jobs for this project, and it is a specificity of the standard project is that you can create a job, like a translation job from English into Spanish for the 2 documents of your project. Okay, so let's say that for the project you need to translate multiple short documents. Okay, you can create one job with all these documents. This is not possible in CoDyt. Okay, in a CoDyt project, one document equals one job, even if the document is short. Okay, and so if you have multiple short documents to translate, I definitely advise you to create a standard project. Okay, so you select all the documents of the project, and set a deadline, and we have created our job. Okay, we can assign it to a specific supplier. Okay, we can get back to the project. And the final step will consist in translating the 2 documents, which is the job of the supplier we've just selected. As project manager, I can reach the work and delivery tab to view the work in progress. Okay, to open the translation interface to see what the translator has translated today, for instance. Okay, so as project manager, just need to wait for the work of my supplier. Another specificity of the standard project is that you can create jobs with no document. Okay, like if you need to create an interpreting job, okay, it is possible in standard and not in CoDyt. So for it, you just click a new job, and next to task, you can select interpretation, select the source language and the target language, and you can leave instructions. Okay, and select deadline. So the interpretation job should be done on October 21st, let's say, and you can click on OK, and you can select your supplier. Okay, so if you need to create jobs with no document to translate, I mean like interpreting jobs, this is only possible in standard. So you should really know that. Another specificity of standard, so let's get back to the project, is that you can create, you can mark documents for offline translation. So let me explain. So here, this document is marked for online translation. I can see it thanks to the green mark and the star. Okay, and it means that the document is going to be translated using Wordbee Cat editor. Okay, so using Wordbee translation interface. But maybe maybe you just want to use Wordbee to create jobs. Okay, and you want your suppliers to be able to translate using their own CAT system. Okay, this is possible in Standard. It means that you can upload a file to translate. Okay, so let me drag and drop one file. Sorry. Okay, and here you can right click on it and you will see mark for offline translation. So it means that the system is going to prepare the document for translation. It means that it's going to segment it. Okay, and you see that the document is marked for offline translation because there's only a green mark here. So these two documents are marked for offline translation. So I can now create jobs with these two documents, and the supplier is going to receive an email notification saying that there is a new job for him. Is going to connect to his Wordbee workspace, and when he's going to see the job, he will see a next lift button. Okay, so he's going to be able to download the job in Xlift to perform it using any CAT tool he wants. Okay, so you cannot mark a document for offline translation in a CoDyt project. So if it's something that you want to do, then you should definitely create standard projects. Right, so let's now have a look at a CoDyt project. Okay, so I have created a CoDyt project. You will see that the layout is different. Okay, I only have 5 tabs. So the project settings page, well, it looks like the project details page of a standard project, but we'll see that it is slightly different. Okay, so here again, you can give a name to your project, assign to a client, etc. But here, there is no notion of source language and target languages. Okay, here you just select all the languages of your project. Even if in a first step you're just going to translate files from English into French, you can already add Spanish and Italian if you know that later on you're going to translate to these languages. Right? And you can save. And now the second step is to configure your workflow. So it is always under project settings. So workflow and suppliers. So if you've configured workflow templates, you'll be able to select them directly by clicking on this arrow here. Okay, so preset from workflow template or from project template also. So I have, different workflow templates. Okay, and using this workflow template, it corresponds to a translation job followed by a revision job. Okay, and here I can decide, okay, I will manually assign the translation job and the revision job, or I can ask the system to automatically propose jobs to groups of suppliers. Well, it implies that I have created groups of suppliers, of course. So by clicking on Edit List, I can select one or more groups. Okay, so I want the translation jobs to be sent to the group My Translators. I can click on OK. And it is basically a job opening. It means that the job is going to be sent to all the suppliers of the group. Well, only the suppliers that can perform, for instance, a translation from English into Spanish. Okay, if I have in the group people that can only perform translations from English into French, then the job is not going to be sent to them. That's why you can create supply groups regardless of the language pairs. And same thing for the revision. So whenever a supplier is going to accept the job and perform it, when he will have marked his job as completed, the revision job will start automatically. And I want it to be automatically sent to a group of suppliers, to my revisors. Okay, so now I have configured my workflow. I can click on OK. I can select resources. Okay, if I want my documents to be pre-translated. And the final step consists in uploading the documents to translate and mark them for online translation, like it is done for this document. Okay, and again, you see that the document is marked for online translation when you see the green mark and the star. So when you mark a document for online translation in a CoDyt project, it means that the system prepares the document for translation, so it segments it, okay, and it also pre-translate the document from the resources, okay, so from the translation memories attached to the project, and it also counts the words of the document. Okay, so all this happens when you mark the document for online translation. And also the workflow starts. So let me do it with you. I'm going first to mark for no translation and mark for online translation again. And yes, I may have forgot to tell it, but when you mark the document for online translation, the system also creates the jobs and send the email notifications to the first group, I mean to the translators first. Okay, so you mark for online. So maybe first I just want translation from English into French. So that's why it takes a few seconds, because the system does everything, okay? The workflow really starts when you've marked the document for online translation. So if I reach the Jobs tab, I can see two jobs, okay? First, a translation that is not started because notifications have been sent to my group of suppliers, but none of them has accepted the job yet. Okay, and you can see that the revision is inactive because it's going to be active when the translation will be completed. Okay, and the notifications for the revision job will be sent automatically whenever the first task will be completed. Okay, so this is our project automation system. And it's really useful to create a CoDyt project for dynamic content like the translation of the website, because every day or every week you receive new content to translate and your workflow is already configured, so you just have to upload the new content to translate. Okay, it is also very useful for to create, for instance, one project per client, because you're going to attach all the resources of a specific client. Okay, and whenever this client is going to ask for a new translation, just have to upload his new document in his project, and it's going to be pre-translated from all, all the resources of your client plus the project memory, because as you probably know, whenever you create a project in Wordbee, a project memory is automatically created, okay, with all the translations that you do in the project. So if you just create one project per client, then you will obtain more and more pre-translations. Okay, but as I said, in CoDyt projects, you cannot mark a document for offline translation, and you cannot create a job with multiple documents. That is not possible. So this is it for today's webinar. If you've any questions, please feel free to enter them in the question box that I'm going to open now. So we have still 7 minutes, and I'd be very happy to answer any questions you may have. So I've received a question. Is there a reason for multiple files and offline translation not being possible in CoDyt? Well, that's why there are two different projects. I mean, you know that if you want to create an interpreting job, then you need to create a standard. Whereas if you want everything to be automated, okay, your workflow to be automated, you create a CoDyt. Otherwise, we should have just created one project in which you can configure things as you want. I'm not sure if I answered your question well, but otherwise, just let me know, and I will try to answer it again. Can I turn a standard project into a CoDyt later? No, that's not possible. That's why you need to clearly understand what you can do in a standard and what you can do in a CoDyt, so that in the first place you create the right project. But I mean, nothing is lost. If you've created a CoDyt project and translated a couple of files, you can always consolidate the project memory with the master memory and then create a standard project, and in the resources select your master memory. I mean, I'm not sure if it's clear, but in Wordbee you can't lose anything, so you cannot turn standard into a CoDyt, but you can easily and rapidly create a CoDyt later. What do I do if I want to automatically send out multiple files for translation to a group of translators? Create a single job for each file. Create a single job for the translators receive several emails. Actually, what you can do if you want to send multiple files for translation to a group, you can do it in standard. Let me check it with you. Normally that's possible. So let me open again my standard project. Okay, send the jobs. Translation. Okay, I should create a new job. So when you create a job, you can select here the 3 documents, select the task, and optionally a deadline. And you click OK. And under supplier, here you see propose to supplier groups. And you select one or multiple groups. And no, the suppliers are only going to receive one email notification because it's only one job with 3 documents to translate in it. So if you want to create a job with multiple files, create a standard project. Any other questions? Well, I'm not receiving any new questions, so I'm gonna thank you all for attending this webinar. Thank you very much and have a great evening. Bye.